Welcome to a community built of tomorrow's business leaders. Hey guys, I'm William Freitas, and this is the Socius Podcast. Socius, welcome back to another episode. Today we've got Carolina Montanez.
Perfect.
Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for the invite. I'm very honored.
I was nervous about the pronunciation, but I think I did that okay.
You did perfectly. That's all right.
Carolina, welcome to the show. Tell us a bit about what you do. Your business is Plan to See.
Yes.
And I'd love to know more. So tell us more about that, and then we'll dive into your journey.
Perfect. We're Plan to See International is an international freight forwarding company. We turned 14 this May. I'm one of four founders. Is me and my three girlfriends and started this journey almost 14 years ago, and we just focus on helping companies to move freight around the world via air freight and sea freight.
Awesome. And tell me a little bit about how that started. You said you and three girlfriends.
Yes.
Right?
Yes. So
how did that come to be?
Well, we started a little bit on the back foot because we were working together at another company that went under administration. So pretty much we have accountants walking in and saying the company no longer exists, pack your bags and see you later. So, but we have a beautiful friendship that, well, I'm the one that entered that group of friends later, and it's been already 18 years that we're friends. And since then, we kind of wanted to keep working together because we have such an amazing work environment. And obviously we started looking for jobs, but we were very, very naive. We were going to companies saying, can you please employ the four of us?
Yeah.
Is that too much to ask? Just the idea of starting our own started from there. We were lucky enough that we had the four pillars. So one of us was doing overseas development. Somebody else was doing operational, all the operations. Somebody else was great at invoicing and admin stuff, and I was doing sales and customer service. So one day we just probably a little bit too crazy said, why not? We have the four pillars, and that's how we started.
Love that. And so the four pillars are effectively the four different girlfriends taking different sections of the business.
Absolutely.
And how do you go about doing business with friends? Because sometimes that can be challenging, I suspect.
Absolutely.
Particularly around keeping people accountable.
Absolutely.
Particularly when you, not to use examples, but maybe the sales and marketing team have a different perspective on the admin team. So,
doesn't always do. Like the eternal fight between sales and operations. That is, I think, I don't know, I believe that is in every company. I talked to my husband about it. He's in sales as well.
Yeah.
So we always have, there is always that sales promise too much, operations doesn't do enough. So it's quite hard. But going back to the friendship, I think that for us, when we decided to start Plan to See, we were very clear of the lines and the rules between friendship and work. Yes, there are some rules that we move according to the friendship because during these 14 years, so much has happened, not only for business-wise, but also personal. So we have gone through, we have gone through divorces. We have gone through babies. We have two babies in the office. So we actually, there was a point of time where one of the offices was the nursery. So we have somebody looking after the baby. So it's so much. But I think that at the beginning, we always were very clear that we are in this to provide for our families, and therefore we have to give it a go. But we want to support each other on a very, very business-minded and ethical way. So since that was very clear from the beginning, that's what has carried on in the last 14 years.
Nice. And the last 14 years, it's obviously proof that it works. Proof that if you can do it for 14 years, go through various different life stages, then it most certainly works. So
but I think as well that it has helped that every single one of us, the founders, has been in a different stage in life. There's the two girls that have older kids, one that started having kids a little bit later, and then me that I was the latest one to have kids. So everybody understands their position, but I think that if we were all in the same boat at the same time, having babies at the same time, I don't think that it would be that good of a journey.
Yeah, because that way you at least help each other through that process.
Absolutely.
I get that. So tell us a little bit more about Plain to See, and for the listeners back home who may not know what freight forwarding is, just to explain a little bit more about the type of clients that you work with, the type of product potentially or cargo that you might be shipping or freighting, whatever it might be. Tell us more about that.
Well, we specialize, or I would like to say that we like to work with small and medium-sized enterprises where we believe that we can make a difference on the way that they handle their cargo. So we're not interested in doing business with big multinationals. First of all, we don't have to maintain a Woolies or a David Jones or something like that. Is a big hole on cash flow as well as personal. We have been very successful on helping small, medium-sized companies doing a lot of project work. Pretty much in a nutshell, I tell you what I said to my husband when I met him. And he's like, "What do you do?" And I said, "I sell air." And he's like, "What do you mean?" I was like, "Yeah, I sell this beautiful piece of air. You put your cargo there and we move it from A to B. Air freight, sea freight, we do customs clearance, anything from any country in the world to any country in the world." So that's in a nutshell what we do. As far as the industry, we have food, we have gelato, we move gelato, anything from gelato, fashion, medical equipment, big machineries. We have been lucky to be involved in big infrastructure projects with water, with roads. So pretty much anything that moves. We don't do perishable though. We try it and it was just not for us.
Yeah, right. Got it. Because I guess that's the temperature control and stuff like that. That's
Absolutely.
The challenging aspect.
Food. We have experience doing stuff like the beef patties for McDonald's and all the stuff, and just our infrastructure is just not quite there. So we just better, if you're not good at it, better just not touch it.
And give us an insight into, I guess, the infrastructure requirements naturally. Like, is it your own ships? Is it your own?
I wish. I wish. I tell some of my clients, especially when something is delayed, say, I wish I have my own plane and my own vessel. But obviously there is a lot of infrastructure behind that. So pretty much we access overseas via networks. So we're part of networks that has agents overseas, and we have Anthony who looks after all our overseas agents. So he goes overseas, he goes to conferences and make those relationships for us. The advantage of having agencies that we have the flexibility to work for each client. So if you have something very particular, we can find the agent that will help you. We're not forced to work with anybody.
Right.
As far as airplane and vessels, obviously the airplanes are like the airlines, and the vessels are owned mostly by government bodies or big organizations. So we rely on them to move the cargo, and that's when for us is we manage the movement, but there is so many things that we can control that. And
that's the key distinction that I wanted to make, right? Because particularly your role within sales, you're not selling necessarily a product that you can always control necessarily, because there might be some external factors. How do you deal with that? Because naturally you would love to be in a position where you can guarantee things all the time.
Absolutely.
But that's not always possible. So how do you deal with that?
I think that the building relationships with our clients, I would like, every time that I talk to clients, I like to give them the worst case scenario and then impress them from there. And just make sure that I tell them everything, the ifs and buts. At the moment, just before I came to this podcast, we have something that needs to be in an event in Brisbane on Wednesday, and how we're gonna get it if it's in the middle of on a cyclone and the planes haven't been able to even touch down, and we don't know if so. It's just keeping the client as informed as possible of all the ifs and buts that could happen, and that it only works with very great relationships. I always say to my team, there's nothing worse than just going quiet to a client. If you have to give a bad news, better pick up the phone and let them know, and let them know what the outcomes could be.
Customer service is number one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
And so thanks for the background. Tell us a little bit about how you got to where you are today. Naturally, what is your background? Did you grow up in Australia? What was your background? Where did you grow up?
Well, I was born in Colombia.
Okay.
So I came to Australia to do my MBA. I did an MBA in international business at UTS. I was working. My journey in freight started when I was 18 because we had to do a work experience. I did a business degree and I have to do 6 months a work experience. So I landed in a freight forwarding company and I fell in love with it. So I stayed there working with them for another 2 years. When I came to Australia when I was 22, I was lucky enough that it was a multinational that I was working for. So I contacted them in Australia and I said, I'm here, I want to work. I'm a student. How can you help me? And they were very nice to open the doors. I was with them for 5-6 years.
Nice.
And then I was headhunted for the previous company. And that's when I met my 4 girlfriends. And since then, that's
been
the journey.
The journey, wow. And so what would you say, I guess, your number one factor for success is? Because naturally, a lot would have gone through that process of, studying in Colombia, taking on various different roles, reaching out to people, ad hoc. But what would you say your number one success factor would be?
Personally, I think that I have been very lucky to be quite resilient. I'll give everything a go at least once. And if I don't like it, at least I'll give it a go. Business-wise, I think that because we have been going for 14 years, clients in our industry want stability. I have a lot of clients that they say that all the freight forwarders have sales reps coming and going every 5 minutes, and every 2 months they get a call from a new one and a new one. I think that because our clients we have had clients that have been with us from day one, and it's been the same structure, the same people. We have a very flat organization where we have our operational team and our sales team and our management team. So you will be dealing with the first 2 or 3 people all the time. And the youngest member, we would say the youngest member has been with us for 5 years. So in 14 years, we have 5 plus year employees. So I think that stability is giving the clients the stability that they need to trust us.
And back to your original point around relationships, right? Like, you can't really build a relationship with an organization or an individual where there's so much turnover,
Absolutely.
There's one person there 1 minute, the next minute there's, another individual. How do you start building a relationship? You can't, right? So that's probably one of your key strengths is for Plain to See, to have that consistency around building that clientele.
Absolutely. I think because we don't sell anything tangible, we just sell relationships. And I have clients that have become my friends, and we talk about absolutely everything when we meet up. And the last thing in our mind is freight, because there is that confidence that we are going to be looking after their freight in the best possible way.
And you know me, like, my game's insurance, and very similar to you. It's an intangible product or a piece of paper to suggest that something will be there for you when you need it. Similar to freight forwarding, right? Like, it's a promise that something will arrive on time, but sometimes doesn't necessarily deliver on that promise or whatever it might be. Yeah, it's the ifs and buts.
The ifs and buts. And I always say to any new clients that I meet, I said, I wish that I was selling to you like vacuum cleaners, because I can turn it on and see how good you are. I'm only as good as your next shipment. So that's kind of how I ask. Give me the trial.
It's not always easy, but it's definitely a relationship game for sure.
Absolutely.
And I think, everywhere you see people talk about technology and how AI can disrupt so many different industries. Do you see it disrupting your industry at all? Or is it, again, more of a relationship thing that you're fairly confident that will still hold through?
Absolutely. AI is something that is coming very strong in every single industry. In my industry, I'm seeing it more it's coming not on the operational side as training, for the AI to do like your tasks, your minimal tasks, your documents, your emails, the background. I just still don't see how AI is gonna replace human and human interaction.
Yeah.
And any business is, at the end of the day, is the interaction of two human beings.
Yeah.
If I don't like you, if I come in for you an insurance and I just don't have a good
Yeah.
feeling for you, I just not gonna go with
Of
you.
course. Yeah.
But definitely, and I'm not saying that AI is going to be bad. I think that
No.
if anything, is going to help us to be a little bit quicker on the ways the minimal tasks that we have to do, or the smallest tasks, are done quicker.
Yeah.
But still, like as I said, I just don't think that it is going to replace that personal touch that we need.
Absolutely. I completely agree. And so what would you say is one key issue in today's business world that needs changing from your perspective?
From the freight
Just
forwarding pool?
in general, yeah, freight forwarding and in business in general, like what do you see as a key concern? But it might very well apply to your business.
Yeah, I believe that the key issue that I can see at the moment is we are communicating a lot, but we're not listening. So everything is so quick. We're so quick to jump online and buy something and get an answer in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
Where I think that the new blood that is coming for companies are just so used to being so quick and be everything on email, that losing that personal touch is what scares me sometimes a little bit. And we have young people who say, well, I'll send the client an email. I said, maybe just give him a call. the good old phone is good. The good old having a chat is all good. So
Yeah.
I think that is more of a mentality that we can't just hide behind our screens and behind our keyboards all the time.
Yeah.
That it has to be a personal touch.
One of my mentors once would always say when we worked together, where's the humble phone call? You know, and this person hated receiving emails when there was no phone call. It was like, well, I don't know you from a bar of soap. Why are you sending me an email
Absolutely.
with no phone call? There's no relationship. The delete button is the most probable, response to that email.
Absolutely.
So I'm a big advocate for that. I know within my team, I tell them all the time, put in a phone call. Get your email to the top of the pile by putting in a phone call and building a relationship.
Absolutely.
I completely agree. Do you find, or what I'm starting to see particularly is, given that things can happen so quickly, people are sort of delaying the process of wanting to get you involved. Are you finding something similar?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that because people get, especially anybody that is young into and young entrepreneur, and that's why I really am in a quest to educate the young entrepreneur that yes, it's great that you find this beautiful product that you can make it in China, and then that is going to go online and is going to go viral and you're going to sell so many units, but how are you going to get it here? Sometimes freight, and I don't know if in your industry is similar, freight is a little bit of an afterthought. I get a lot of phone calls saying, I'm in trouble. How can you fix it when there's still going to be a little damage? So I would like to see more and more companies coming to us and getting a freight forwarder involved from the beginning of the project, from the moment that you think maybe we can make it overseas. Let's try to get involved a freight forwarder to see the ifs and buts, the customs clearance process, permits, problems that we may occur, so we don't pretty much push the freight through.
Yeah.
We make an educated decision on how to move it.
This is exactly the same in our industry, but let's dive into this a little bit more with your industry. So I can see this occurring, right? Someone has built some product, they've made a sale, they want to send something overseas, and it's got to be done tomorrow,
Yes.
I presume.
Yes.
Yeah. And every country is going to be different, right? Every region is going to have different requirements. On average, how long does it take what are the sort of ifs and buts that might come up? Is the customs requirements, how long can that be?
Well, if you if you have a look at everything that could happen at the destination or where the cargo is going to be, with the HS codes and quarantines and customs, once you have that bed down, and it doesn't take that long. It's pure classification, because everything in like the glasses, this microphone, everything has an HS code, which is a harmonized tariff, and it's the same code everywhere in the world. So with that code, we just need to see what rules apply for that particular destination. That is, it doesn't take that long, but it will save you thousands of dollars, and it will save you time. Another thing that clients need to be aware of is the difference in time. If we send in something to the States, it may take 60 days. If we send something to China, it may take 3 weeks, because this is still long distances in boats, and air freight is expensive. So if you promise your client that it's going to be there by 2 or 3 days, you're going to pay for it. So,
which can probably sometimes make the shipment unprofitable, I presume.
Eat all your profit. I have had a lot of clients that they come and they say, I just need to air freight it because I promised my client and I'm making no money out of it. So I actually design a few programs where I go to clients, especially project-based engineering companies, where I go on and just explain to the sales team of the engineering department what is freight and how freight affects you and what you do day to day. And they're quite popular. When I tell clients, I'm happy to come and spend a day with your team, telling them I'm not expecting them to be freight forwarders, but they need to know how we affect you, because that will affect your bottom line.
Interesting. And I can see how them not coming to you soon enough can definitely impact the whole project, most certainly. Look, for us, it's exactly the same. Insurance is most certainly an afterthought. Most people will purchase an asset and then come to us right at the end when they need the piece of paper, the certificate of currency for the funding to get approved. And they say, well, we need this today or yesterday.
And do you know what kind of cover do you need? Do you know the ifs and buts? And it can be done straight away. And
exactly like your industry. What are the ifs and the buts? What are the exclusions? What am I including? And often it's just a piece of paper. And you know what? I probably think it's similar to your industry. They're just like, I just want to get it there regardless. And like you said, pushing it through may not necessarily always be the best way. It could be the most expensive way.
Absolutely.
Whether it's air freight or
absolutely. I especially for brand new clients, I always tell them our first shipment is our first baby. Sometimes it takes years, more than 9 months for sure, but the delivery could be quite stressful because once it's ready, and because we're the last part of the chain, if production is delayed, it's like having a hot potato, because it's like just throw the hot potato and try to get it there on the other side. But we have been quite successful with people that let us take them into the journey of delivering that first baby, and then it becomes second nature.
Yeah. I can't believe there's so many synergies between freight forwarding and insurance. Like naturally there's requirements for insurance and everything, but our process is very similar, most certainly. Clients will think, oh, the piece of paper is going to get us there, but they don't realize that, they're not covered for what they need to be covered for. And it's a whole nother conversation, I guess. That's crazy.
We could spend a lot of time as service providers. That's the thing. We just sell something that we can show. So it's so similar.
And what's a key business risk in your world, and something that you advise your clients on?
Well, the key at the moment, the rate of exchange, because when you price something up, I don't know if you remember the time where our dollar was at the 90s and we were all traveling because our dollar was amazing, and overnight it came to 50 in the US dollars. I had the amount of people that priced their products at 90 cents, and now they're coming and they're losing huge amount of money. So it's very important to keep in mind that your price will pretty much change all the time if you pay your supplies in US dollars or in euro or in pounds, whatever exchange rate of exchange may be. And being the rate of exchange so subject to political, if somebody's fighting with somebody, China overnight, or the USA has increased again the import tax for China starting the beginning of March. So I have literally cargo that is on its way from China to the States for clients, and now they have to pay an extra 10% on duty.
So it includes retrospectively, like whatever enters the country from this date.
Well, normally speaking, they give us like a little bit of a heads up.
Okay.
I think that with the current political circumstances, they're pretty much telling us from this day. We got an advice from the 4th of February, they were going to pay an extra 10%, and now from the 1st of March, an extra 10%. So now it's 20% on top of the normal duty. So
To the US, you're saying?
To the US from China. So people that are, because normally Australia is quite a small market compared to the States. And normally somebody that is bringing stuff from China to Australia, they will try to put it into the American market. But at the moment, they're paying something like 45% on import tax into China. So it's crazy for them. I have clients that say, I can't afford to have my product in the States anymore because the price is not feasible.
So how do you manage that risk as a business owner? Because naturally, I see this as quite interesting because you might want to be marketing your business globally, your product globally. How do you sustain, I guess, sustainable pricing that's consistent across the whole region? How do you do that?
I think that I always give advice to my clients that if they're going to be in different markets, they need to have a pricing structure and for each country, and that's where us being involved from the beginning of the process helps, because we keep all our clients up to date of the changes that may have, and all the just keep in mind of all the buts and ifs, and just probably being reasonable with your clients. I have had clients that come to me and say, this is the situation. What do I do to convince my client that they need to pay less, or that they pay, not less, pay more, obviously. So we just send all the information, and you just have to be as transparent as possible with your clients. And sometimes clients will leave you. Sometimes clients will understand that you're in business to make money as well.
Yeah. And so naturally, it sounds like a lot of what you do is crafting a solution for clients. And sales is such a big part to so many businesses. And I think a lot of business owners that are listening, some of them might love sales and some of them might hate sales. What are some tips that you might have for business owners specifically to boost their sales skills?
I think that when you're a business owner and you're a natural salesperson, because you're so invested, is your baby, so you have to sell it. And most of the entrepreneurs that are out there, they started just with one person being the salesperson, the operations person, the invoice person, everything. I do believe that pretty much every entrepreneur has to be a salesperson. That they love to be a salesperson is probably a different conversation. But I will say that to identify talent, because anybody can be a sales rep. We definitely at Plain to See love to incentivize. We give incentives to our operators because they can be great sales reps. They may be shy, but they have all this operational background and they can find solutions for clients. So any organization, anybody in your organization can be a sales rep if he's trained properly.
And I think it's also to just breaking the mold of what sales is. Sales can sometimes feel dirty for many people and feel like, oh, I don't want to be a used car salesperson. They don't want to have that slogan. But from my perspective, sales is about believing in the product or the service that you are offering.
Absolutely.
And if you're passionate about what you're offering, sales is second nature.
Yes, you just need to talk about you. People love to talk about themselves. So that's when I go and see a new client, I just ask about them. Yeah. I don't need to do the hard sell of who I am and how many people I have and what I can do. If once you let them talk about themselves, you start constructing how you can help them without being, as you said, the typical used sales card rep that you just have to have it because I'm the best. Sometimes I'm not the best for your solution, and that's okay. Maybe I think that we're so lucky that there's so much business around that sometimes it's okay if I'm not your solution. Somebody else will be. But I'm very careful also looking after my staff, like the amount, if you kind of see when you go and see clients, I don't know if that happens with your business, when you have that first meeting and you know if it's going to be a painful client.
Yeah.
And is that something that I want to put my team through?
Yeah.
Or I'm okay to say, you know what, I may not be the right person for you, or I can
Yeah.
help you up to this point. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're trying to do.
Yeah. It's that level of confidence too that has, to be honest, more people want to be drawn to that sales process. And I guess from a sales process too, I'll add, we spend a lot of time in our business talking about the benefit or the impact that insurance has, purely because that's what people need to be connected to selling or advising on. And when people are connected to the benefit that insurance can make to clients, then it's so much easier for them to want to be involved in that process.
Absolutely.
So what is it in your business, from plane to sea and freight forwarding, the impact? Talk to me about the impact. Talk to me about the dream, the vision, the mission of which you share with your team that has them want to sell.
Well, to be honest with you, after COVID, mission, vision, everything changed. I think COVID made us stronger in a way where we find out that our goal at Plan to See is to keep everybody employed. That's our day to day. We want the 12, 13 people that we have at the moment to keep being employed. We don't want to, we just want to keep growing and just stable. So I think I remember when COVID hit, I have people in accounts saying, I'll pick up the phone and call, because I think that it was probably throughout that desperation, but now they understand that anybody can do it. And if any one carton, one air freight, one container benefits the entire. So it's a complete mission for us to keep us going.
And I think the internal aspect is perfect. And that's another, I guess, suggestion I'd make to those listening. There's the looking at the external aspect of what impact you can make, but like what you said, how do we impact our internal team, and how does this, continue to serve our people? So talk to me about your vision for Plan to See into the future, because naturally I got that since COVID. Your focus is about keeping everyone employed, but now we're in the post-COVID world, right?
Yes.
So what's the vision?
The vision is, my personal goal is to educate people about freight. I think COVID brought up huge light in my industry. A lot of people didn't know how things will get to the country until COVID hit and there was no airplanes and there was no vessels. And but in a negative way, I want to educate everybody about international freight and how it's not a scary industry and how it's not something that is extremely expensive. It's something that that can be managed when you have the right partner. So our vision now is to get as many as eyeballs as possible into the brand. We want to be a little bit different. We don't want to be, I will say, and apologies for any freight forwarders out there, but I don't want to be a boring industry anymore, because we're far from it. We are exciting. We are a very exciting industry once you get to know us.
Yeah. And from my perspective, it sounds like you're an enabler to allowing businesses to expand across shores, right?
Yes, absolutely. So I get excited when one of our clients, when we met her, we met her a long time ago. She started just designing a little bit, and now she has expanded with her own stores in Australia and New Zealand and the USA and Canada and UK. So every single step is seeing our clients growing that way is kind of justify our existence.
Perfect. Awesome. Carolina, it's been a pleasure to have you on the show. If people want to reach out and potentially find out a little bit more about the freight forwarding service, how can they reach you?
Oh, they can definitely reach us by our website, www.plane2see.com.au. That is plain as PLANE, the number 2 SEA. And definitely via LinkedIn and via Instagram, just Plane to See International.
Perfect. Thank you for coming on the show.
Thanks for the invite.
Socius, thank you for joining us today. Please hit the subscribe button if you've enjoyed this episode. And if you'd like to be part of the Socius community, follow us on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn to stay in touch. Cheers.